Hi everyone, I'm doing my final project on ACT UP, specifically the New York chapter. ACT UP stands for the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power. It's an international advocacy group working to impact the lives of people with AIDS and the AIDS pandemic to bring about legislation, medical research and treatment, and policies to ultimately end the disease. ACT UP is committed to direct action as a means of ending the AIDS crisis. Larry Kramer, who was a co-founder of ACT UP, was speaking out against the gay men's health crisis, an organization in which he was on the board of directors until 1983, asked a group of people, do we want to start a new organization devoted to political action? 2 days later, approximately 300 people met to form ACT UP. As you can see, I have here, it was formed on March 1987. They met at the Lesbian and Gay Community Service Center in New York City. And although New York was the first chapter, it is not considered the head chapter. Each ACT UP chapter operates independently. A little bit about the structure. You can see several committees listed here. ACT UP follows a committee structure, with each committee reporting to a coordinating committee once a week where actions and proposals are brought to the floor for a vote. Here are some of the chapters other than New York. Other than the ones that are listed here is San Francisco, Atlanta, East Bay, Cleveland, Key West. There's some international ones here, Paris and India. They also have a chapter in Kathmandu. And here are a couple of websites that you could check out if you'd like for New York, Philadelphia, and the Facebook page for ACT UP San Francisco. Some notable protests in the beginning of ACT UP. You can see there's three there listed for Wall Street. 1987, there were 250 members demonstrated at Wall Street to demand greater access to experimental AIDS drugs. 1 year later, in 1988, ACT UP returned to Wall Street for a larger demonstration in which over 100 people were arrested. In 1989, 7 members chained themselves to the VIP balcony to protest the high price of the only approved AIDS drugs. The post office demonstration on April 15, 1987 was the first time we saw the posters reading "Silence equals death." And the Cosmopolitan magazine protest, there was an article that was published stating that if a man and a woman engage in unprotected sex and both have healthy genitals, AIDS could not be transmitted even if the male partner was infected. 150 women from ACT UP protested outside of Cosmo when they refused to print a retraction. This marked the first time the women of ACT UP organized separately from the men. They filmed the protest and included it in a short video titled "Doctors, Liars, and Women, AIDS Activists Say No to Cosmo." Here's a short documentary, it's about 3 minutes, that I found on YouTube, titled "ACT UP, a Documentary in Progress." To view it, you're going to need the most recent update for Adobe Flash Player. Diva TV was founded in 1989 and stands for Damned Interfering Video Activist Television. Like a Prayer was one of Diva TV's early works documenting the ACT UP protest at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City against Cardinal O'Connor's position on AIDS and contraceptives. AIDS Community Television was a weekly series on public access TV. ACT UP Live was a weekly call-in program on public access. And Fight Back AIDS 15 Years of ACT UP was a feature-length documentary which was screened at the Berlin Film Festival and shown all over the world. Today, ACT UP, their membership is declining due to the changing nature of AIDS crisis through although many chapters continue to meet. Housing Work is New York's largest AIDS service organization, and the Health Gap, which is the Global Access Project, is dedicated to eliminating barriers to global access to affordable life-sustaining medicines for people living with HIV and AIDS. Both of these are direct outgrowths of ACT UP.